You can tell it is getting cold outside because we have a Chris Spags decked out in his new splash play gear. Looking good over there.
Yeah, it's definitely very cold in Los Angeles, and not that I'm here promoting the merch store that Pete so lovingly put together, but it is a Friday show here, so I am in my finest splash play swag, ready to talk to Sam Hoppen, who is the Betsperts and 4-4 football data analytics manager, so lots of fun data conversation coming up. We're also going to do some data visualization pictionary, and we are going to do, of course, our ride or die picks, and maybe even talk some Odell Beckham landing spots, because now he is available. Maybe he'll be on splash play too. We'll find out right after the intro. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Splash Play, the fantasy football podcast for every game under the sun. And once again, I'm Chris Spags, joined by your friend and mine, Peter Overzet, and also the guy we just talked about, Sam Hoppen, who is the newly crowned, newly minted data analytics manager for Betsperts and 4-4 football. How are you doing, Sam, and how is the new job treating you?
I'm doing great. I guess we'll be wrapping up week one in the new role here this afternoon. So it's been good. It's been interesting and fun to wake up and have a full-time job that I'm more excited about and happy to have. So great to be here, and thanks for having me on the show.
Wait, so what was your full-time job? I'm sure this is probably known. Pete knows, because Pete actually pays attention on social media, unlike me, who just cruises through, occasionally gives out likes to be nice to people that I do like. But what was your day job before taking this full-time move over to the world of data analytics?
I worked for a consulting company, Bain & Company. They're a management consultant doing some partnerships stuff for them. So nothing too thrilling. A little less corporate in my new gig, that's for sure.
Just a little bit, of course. That's what we like here on Splash Play. So make sure you are hitting the like button, whether you're watching on Pete's channel or the Splash Play channel. And of course, make sure to go to footballoutsiders.com/subscribe. They're helping us put on this show. Another great way to get more data in your life, including DVOA. It's going on over at Football Outsiders, where they have a $1 a week package going. And just go check it out. Again, lots of great ways to make better lineups, understand football more holistically over at footballoutsiders.com/subscribe. But Sam, I want to talk to you about data a little bit more up top before we talk about some of the Odell Beckham stuff. And Pete, I put on the sheet here, I didn't run it by you, but I think we should do an Odell Beckham, where should he go snake draft, if that sounds viable to you.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Yeah, you gave Sam a tough lead in because you implied that Odell Beckham might also be on the show. So, it's making it tough on him.
I mean, I think, Sam, as well as anybody, you're the young Odell Beckham. That's what everybody in the data analytics community has called you. You bring that brash attitude. You're also always running go routes, and people want you to run a slant. That's just the Sam Hoppen vibe, I think.
Look, that's not the first time someone's called me that. Usually I get comms to Randy Moss, people like that, of that ilk, but I'll take Odell Beckham right now.
So you're real sharp about data, Sam, and obviously, that's something that's important to us on this show. We do like to have fun here, but it does come from a place of knowing what we're talking about and trying to have the best data in front of us at any given time. And I guess the question I would have for you as a guy who is making this move over, where you're now, fully embracing the sports side of your data-driven mind, what has been the stuff that crystallized for you, overall in terms of your approach, numbers that you look at in particular? Like, what for you has made you feel like you're as sharp as you put out there in everything that you're doing?
I think for me, the big thing is just cutting through the noise. There's a bajillion stats that you can put out there, different cuts of the data, whether it's different weeks, things like that. And so trying to understand what the specific, what's the best number of games to look at historically, what are the right stats for running backs, wide receivers, things like that. And then with the visualizations that I do, putting it into a way that's easily digestible for the viewer, something that someone can look at, hopefully within 5 seconds, understand what the main message is, or give them some information that is a lot more, in depth than just listing a bunch of stats.
That makes a lot of sense. Pete, I know you're obviously a big data bro. That's been one of your brands for a very long time. So do you have any thoughts on big data here now that we have somebody who's legitimately very sharp and worth pointing out to, also creating fantastic graphics all the time, at Sam Hoppen on Twitter. So I want to give you the floor too, Pete, if you have any questions.
Yeah, no, I was just talking to this with Ryan Hodge on my GPP show. And I was also referencing a podcast I heard Leone interview Lord Reeves and kind of, getting in the weeds a little bit with how defenses impact fantasy performance and how that's traditionally been a very hard thing to untangle, but kind of knowing that there are some micro edges there, but we might not just have all the data yet to kind of know where the signal and noise is. So yeah, it's one of those tough things where I've really simplified my kind of analytics stuff, and especially for DFS, and just trust that good projections are encapsulating a lot of that. But I am excited for like the next frontier of data, whether that is next gen stats or looking specifically at defensive formations and how that can impact fantasy performance, because I do think there's still some meat on the bone to get even sharper with what we're doing.
Yeah, Sam, what does the future look like to you, Sam? Because obviously you're there on the front lines, combing through the stuff. You've seemingly taught yourself all the different programming languages and all that to make some of the visualizations you do. So what is that next wave of data for people out there? And how does it involve the metaverse? That's the question everybody's really wondering about.
I think the next step, and I don't know when this will happen, is having public player tracking data available to us to be able to get an understanding of, again, how guys get into space when they're running routes, when they're running, if they're hitting their gaps the right way, stuff like that. Because there's a difference between a 2-yard run in which, the offensive line just totally broke down, and a 2-yard run when the defender came up and got him in the backfield or something like that. So I think that's certainly the next frontier, and is what's going to drive that next level of data analytics, both in fantasy football and in just sort of casual NFL football analysis that you see on Twitter and stuff.
Is there anything that you think that's going to radically change the way we viewed stuff coming with that? Because I know the next gen stats overall, they have a lot of the fun graphics that pop up sometimes during games, especially the Sunday Night Football broadcast. I feel that's where they like to put out their most fancy little bells and whistles they come up with. But is there anything that you're expecting to see that's going to, I would say, obviously you can't really expect something that's going to radically change everything you've done leading up to this point, but is there something that I think you might foresee that's going to really just change the game and how we approach this?
I think it's more of the micro stuff, like Pete was talking about, is putting some of the, some player performances into better context. If they were, again, if a player was actually, blanketed on their coverage when running their routes, that's a little bit different than not getting any targets and just, still being open. So I think it's those more micro things, and being able to put it into context, put performances into context, and understand what's going into some of these actual stats.
That's interesting, and it's definitely something we'll be tracking here on this show. And of course, I'm sure they'll be tracking over at Betsperts and 4for4 Football, two great sites that we both, Pete and I both would recommend, and certainly ones that I've kept eyes on and check on a regular basis as well. So go check them out. But let's do the Odell Beckham talk, and let's see where we think he should go, because he has officially been released by the Browns. We were speculating about it yesterday, came through the wire this morning, and it's been a tumultuous week of his dad posting the video of him open on plays. And then I know Pete was talking on some of the shows you did this morning. I was catching up on the On the Contrary show you did with Lofty and Osimo, talking about, just some of the reports out there of Odell Beckham maybe not being the most attentive to his route running and all of that. But I think there are some obvious spots that he might go to, Pete. And I don't know if you want the first pick, if you want to give it to Sam, if we're going to do an Odell Beckham destination snake draft. But I do have a pretty good one I think I could throw out there too.
Well, let's just establish the parameters here. Is it what we think would be the most fun and the best for fantasy, or are we drafting what we think is like the best fit or where he's most likely to go?
I think there's some jazz here. I think it's whatever you feel like is the best combination. Ideally, both would be what I would say, where he makes the team better, maybe fits the vibe. Maybe there's some infrastructure to make him a better guy. I have a really good first pick, Pete, so I hope you don't take it.
Okay, I'm very it sounds like normally I would defer to my guest, but you are clearly just really want to get this one off. So say your landing spot, Spags.
The Las Vegas Raiders should be bringing in Odell Beckham, a QB there who we talked about yesterday. I very much like Derek Carr's support of his teammate Henry Ruggs at a time where it's going to be very hard to support him moving forward. I thought leadership was there. I think that's the kind of guy who throws a lot of deep balls. Now, an obvious vacancy as well, probably one that Brian Edwards can't fill or Darren Waller can't fill quite as well. And Odell in that black and silver for the Raiders. Can you imagine that, Pete? What a perfect first round pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if that was going to crack my top five,
Oh,
honestly.
bullshit. It's such an obvious fit. Anywhere else, he's going to be like a little bit too much. Like you put him on the Bucks, like, okay, he's filling in for Antonio Brown for a few weeks, taking some Tyler Johnson routes or whatever. Like, that's not the most exciting. Goes to Vegas, clear cut role with that. They desperately need somebody in.
Yeah, but I don't know if I mean, that's not the role that they're now trying to fill. Like they're trying to fill the like deep threat role down the field that Zay Jones is going to play. And I'm just not even convinced Odell is better at that than Zay Jones at this point in his career.
Oh, that is an outrageous take. And because of that, Sam, I think you get the number 2 pick here.
I'm going to go. I was just pulling up the waiver order to see, like, again, which teams are at the top. I think Seattle is one that a lot of people are tying him to, but I'm going to go with the Colts. I know they have Michael Pittman, but behind him, their wide receiver depth is not very good. They're obviously content on running the ball as much as they want to, like they did last night. But I think, and again, I don't know how the cap situation works right now, but I know the Colts have a lot of cap space. They're playing a little bit better and could push for an AFC wildcard spot. So they're, I think, 14th on the waiver order. So unknown whether he'll actually fall that far, but I think will be a good landing spot for him.
Do we think he's going to like get picked up off of waivers, or do we think he's going to clear it because the deal's too much? Because I think that's something that the NFL is a little bit weirder with that. Obviously, we're not cap experts here, so we're totally speculating. But I guess what do we have any read, Pete? Do you have any read on what the likelihood of that would be?
Yeah, I mean, all I know is that they, are finalizing restructuring his contract, so it's more likely for him to get picked up by a team on waivers. But we've also seen plenty of times with guys like Josh Gordon in the past, and I'm blanking on other scenarios. Maybe it was Antonio Brown. When he got waived, just like these guys clear waivers just because no one wants to be on the hook for whatever their current contract situation is. So I wouldn't assume that it's just like a lock that someone picks him off of waivers. I could see him clear and then maybe sign on his own.
Okay, so that's a reasonable way to look at it. So I think, Pete, now we've got 2 picks off the board. Who would you put him on?
Yeah, well, I do think the most obvious, and they were actually connected at the trade deadline, is the Saints. So, I mean, the Saints are in just desperate need of playmakers. Michael Thomas confirmed out for the season. I think he would fit in right there. We saw last year, I know Taysom Hill isn't going to start this week, but we saw Taysom Hill kind of lock in on Michael Thomas. I think that rapport could be good. And part of what this all stems from, right, with Odell is that he wants targets. He wants to be this alpha guy. I don't think we mentioned the Bucs situation. Obviously that would be good on paper for him, but I don't think he wants to go somewhere where he's going to get 2 to 3 targets a game. I think he wants to go somewhere where he can get 8 or 9 targets a game, and New Orleans would certainly be one of those places.
All right, so I think it's a reasonable take to have there. Sam, you got any thoughts on New Orleans? I feel like that's the obvious one. Certainly, Pete really grasped for the low-hanging fruit in a way that's a classic Pete, I think we could all say.
Well, I mean, just the fact that you were running to the podium to say the Las Vegas Raiders, I mean.
I think it's the perfect fit. It makes sense. There's news around it. It fit all the criteria. But actually, Pete, you could take the turn here, and then we'll review everybody's picks at the end and decide. I guess the chat could also decide who the real winner is, and it's going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. But, Pete, who do you want in the turn?
I think the turn I will do, I don't think again, this goes back to the thing. Does he want to go somewhere he wants to be a Super Bowl contender or not? I think he just wants to get fed. Let's say the Falcons, after now kind of with the uncertainty with Calvin Ridley. I mean, Tajay Sharp, Russell Gage, none of those guys really inspiring much confidence. And we know Matt Ryan can sling the rock when he has those weapons there. So I wouldn't mind seeing Atlanta.
All right, Atlanta's a reasonable one. Calvin Ridley will be out again with his personal issues as those are ongoing. I think a reasonable take, Sam. Now we've got those guys off the board as well. So who would you want Odell to do? We can just do 2 rounds here, so make this your final pick.
As fun as the content would be if like the Texans added him and picked him up off waivers, I'm going to go with the 49ers because I think they still believe that they are in playoff contention. They're not that far off of the NFL wildcard race right now. And again, that's a spot, even though the 49ers don't pass a ton, he could step in easily as the wide receiver 2 there behind Debo. So I'm going to go with the 49ers.
Okay. I like that pick. Debo certainly can use somebody to take the pressure off him. With George Kittle coming back is a big thing, but Brandon Ayuk clearly has not taken the leap that some of us, myself included, hope for. I'm curious what you guys are going to think about this one. I'm going to say in this team, also in the news this week, we're going to talk about some more Aaron Rodgers stuff in a second, but the Green Bay Packers really need a wide receiver too, I think, and they could use a guy like Odell coming in, taking those Alan Lazard MVS targets. The obviously Tanya now going to be out, so that's something that opens up a little more room. And I think there is room for him to get to the 7-8 targets as a team also leading their division, still clearly Super Bowl contenders, no matter what Aaron Rodgers does the next 2 weeks, if he gets back in or not. I think in this spot, Odell, to me, the Packers and Raiders, quite the dynamic duo for Odell. And Pete, do you want to shit on my Packers choice as well?
I generally try to not pass up on an opportunity to shit on one of your picks, but that one feels fairly logical to me as well. I think he'd probably complement Devontae Adams decently in that offense.
With Silas in the chat saying New England, do you think he'd ruin Mac Jones pretty fast? I feel like that would be one that would blow up within 2.5 weeks max.
I think what would be awesome is if he signed with New England and then Jacoby Myers immediately scored a touchdown once Odell Beckham was finally there.
I like what Greg is suggesting in the chat here, that the Giants go and pick him up. Just a little reunion right there. They're struggling. They got some injuries to the wide receiver position, and just a little reunion there.
Why don't we just make this a 9-round draft and name every single team in the league?
I mean, the Giants too, like somebody I saw was posting about this right before. Oh, it might have been Ship My Money over at Awesemo. Adam, of course, doing a great job over there too. And I want to give them all the credit in the world, especially now they're not paying me anymore. But I do think he had a good take about like why it's weird. The New York media, the Cleveland media are taking so much glee in the Odell situation. And I think that's weird. And maybe, the Giants, we know we're not the happiest with them. The organization has changed over, I think, enough where that's a possibility. But it does feel like it's tough to go back when the media sort of run you out of a town. And the New York media, if he were back, I don't know if there'd be positive enough vibes, Pete, for them to make that work, but it does make some degree of sense.
Yeah, I think that one could work out. I will toss out one more while we're just really doing here. How about How about we go to Houston? I mean, they literally have no one other than Brandon Cooks. I believe he even played with Tyrod at one point when Tyrod was in Cleveland. I mean, how about that? Now we can get someone else to run it back with our Houston stacks.
I think that's a decent one too. And I would throw in the Detroit Lions. I think they're another team, him and Jared Goff out there, the boys that could have been together on the Rams, or were those Odell Rams trade rumors a few years ago. The point is, I think there's a lot of options for him. And I guess the question I'd have for both of you guys, and I'll ask you first, Sam, do you think there's any world where Odell doesn't get picked up by somebody this season and he just kind of has to sit on ice?
I think there is a world. Yes, there's certainly a non-zero chance because, again, there were some rumors that came out this morning about him being, not a great person in the locker room. And then I think a bunch of players for the Browns retweeted that and said this is not the case. But he by no means is not a distraction off the field and could just be an annoyance to a locker room. So I think there's a non-zero chance, but it's a very, very slim chance that he doesn't play the rest of the season.
If you had to put odds on it, Pete, what would they be if Odell not getting picked up by anybody?
That seems pretty slim to me. I would say that's probably like less than 10%.
Yeah, I think 10% feels about right to me too. I feel like it could be one of those things like in the NFL draft sometimes where it's like, oh, this team went a different direction than QB. This other team didn't want a QB, and now the guy falls. And maybe there's some world where that happens where the people that make the most sense or the teams that make the most sense don't go his way. But it does feel like he'll land somewhere. And obviously, hopefully it happens within the next few days so we could talk about it on our Sunday episode of Splash Play. But again, guys, hit the like button if you're watching live in chat or after the fact. It helps us out a bunch, whether you are watching on Pete's channel or on the Splash Play channel. It just helps us get seen by more people. It makes us feel good inside. So hit that like button if you can. And make sure to follow at Splash Play Pod as well. As I mentioned, we'll be doing a Sunday night special one more time before I drive cross country. So tune in then and we'll have the details on the timing. There'll be around 9 Eastern, but go follow us at Splash Play Pod and you'll know everything that goes down. Let's talk some week 9 injuries that actually matter. And Aaron Rodgers is quote unquote in the crosshairs of a woke mob, according to him. He's consulting. This was a tweet I think, Sam, you retweeted right before the show, but consulting with Joe Rogan on a treatment plan for COVID. And we talked about it a lot yesterday, Sam, so I'll give you the floor here. But how do you feel about the situation? It really does feel like he's doing an elaborate Andy Kaufman style bit now that he didn't get that Jeopardy hosting role. But I just can't take these quotes. Like I crack up at everything that's gone on this week with him. And it seems like it just keeps getting worse.
So I am a Packers fan. I grew up in Green Bay, and so I have a little bit of a, I guess, different viewpoint on this. And I'm just like ready for the Jordan Love era at this point. Like when all the offseason stuff happened about him not reporting to the team and stuff, like I understood his reasoning for not, the front office not necessarily listening to him and things like that. And I sort of empathize with him a little bit. I still thought it was ridiculous, but now like he's just crossed the line. That is just absurd. Like we don't need to get into politics of the vaccine, but it's some of the stuff that he was sharing on the Pat McAfee show earlier this afternoon and invoking a Martin Luther King quote with regard to vaccination restrictions in the NFL, I think is a bridge too far.
Yeah, that is the Aaron Rodgers experience. I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast while I was showering before the show to put on my fresh Splash Play attire. Couldn't subject my filthy body to these fine goods you get at Pete's store. But Pete, I feel like the spot here with Aaron Rodgers that Simmons is talking about, like the diva thing, he kind of hopes that Roger Goodell will punish Aaron Rodgers for the situation where he's basically wasn't wearing a mask, even though he wasn't vaccinated, was not doing the protocols the way you're supposed to. How are you feeling about Aaron Rodgers? As Sam mentioned, the pretty loaded interview he gave to Pat McAfee. Pat's doing more of an entertainment show, and Aaron Rodgers, I'm sure, fashions himself quite the entertainer these days, but it is just outlandish at this point.
The last time I felt like this was in the off season when the Julio Jones trade rumors were going on forever. And I think I said to you, I'm just so exhausted. And that's how I feel by Aaron Rodgers at this point. I'm just so exhausted by all of his bullshit. I'm like Sam too. I mean, I don't have a ton of confidence that Jordan Love is really good, but it is, as long as we can just be done with this Rodgers shit, like I'm ready for Jordan Love time. Maybe he will be good. Maybe the Packers don't realize what they've been sitting on. So I just have no more energy for Aaron Rodgers.
If Jordan Love knows to feed Devontae Adams and also Aaron Jones, I think those are things that'll probably work out pretty well for him, but we'll see how he brings it this week against Kansas City. Trevor Siemian expected to start over Taysom Hill this week versus Atlanta. The question I'm going to ask Pete is why? Really is the guy. I feel like Taysom, the guy they've built for so long, they're paying a lot of money for. I know the injuries may be part of it too. And Siemian did look good in relief last week, but it feels like that's just something where if he starts cold, there'll probably be a pretty quick hook for him.
Yeah, I was bummed by that because I was getting pretty excited to play Taysom Hill. My hope is that, they just didn't want to rush Taysom Hill coming back from the concussion. And I know he practiced in full this week, but it sounds like they just wanted to give him maybe a little bit more time. We know how much Sean Payton loves Taysom Hill, so I'm going to assume not much has changed there for him, and that this is just going to be a spot start for Trevor Siemian. What do you think, Sam? Do you think Taysom Hill starts next week?
I do, and that's been my whole frustration with the Taysom versus Jameis thing all offseason is Sean Payton committed so much money, so much time, so much press time to saying that Taysom Hill was who they wanted to be sort of the future and invest in him. And then they just went with Jameis. So I do think now that Jameis is out, they'll go with Taysom. And I agree that it's probably just we want to ease him back, make sure that he's healthy and can take sort of the hits again.
Yeah, I think there's a decent chance. I would have a tough time playing a lot of Trevor Siemian this week, but he can win the job. I think that's the main thing is if he's going to see the floor, if he's going to be out there getting a chance to get some stats going, maybe there's a chance that he can hold off Taysom enough, but still going to lose that red zone work, still going to lose that goal line work that we saw happen enough for Jameis that it's hard to really trust that one moving forward. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, both game time decisions at San Francisco. AJ Green is, as we talked about yesterday, out with COVID for the week. And Sam, how do you feel about the spot with Arizona where it does feel like these guys are true game time decisions? DeAndre Hopkins coming off some hamstring issues. Kyler Murray, we know they don't want to risk what happened last year with him basically being driven into the ground. So how do you handle this one with this potentially being a very important spot if these guys don't play?
So I'm actually shocked that Kyler is even a game time decision. When the news came out last Friday after the Thursday night game, it sounded like this was going to be a 2 to 4 week injury for him. So I generally am more conservative with injury related news and tend to avoid those guys because the window for something going wrong becomes a lot bigger in those instances. So I would veer away from them if possible. You guys are more DFS experienced than I am, so I don't know how that plays with the ownership versus sort of risk reward aspect of things, but it's something I would personally not want to put my money into.
Pete, how are you feeling about it? Because it is a spot I know you are a big Rondale Moore guy. You have been there from day one and certainly going to open up some more routes, whether Hopkins is banged up or not. But they could be routes getting the ball thrown by Colt McCoy. So that could be something that's not the best.
Yeah. And I think, for DFS, I think he's just kind of an easy fade. There's no reason to kind of look to that game. I do think it's tougher for season long. If you have Kyler and you're debating between him and someone you pick up on waivers, where you're now debating between a Kyler or, a Daniel Jones. I think if you have kind of a backup option that's going at 4 p.m. or Sunday Night Football or Monday night, I think you could probably roll the dice. But otherwise, I think I would be trying to avoid that situation. And then, the entire offense takes a hit too. I wonder, and I'm curious what Sam thinks about how much their pace would drop, how much more they would run. I doubt we see, as much of their kind of up tempo offense. So I'm definitely worried about all the players and that game just kind of cratering from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head where they're at from a pace perspective, but the game plan will change if Kyler Murray is not the quarterback. And is it Colt McCoy who's the backup in Arizona? So I don't think is a completely incompetent option there. But DeAndre Hopkins in the past has shown that he's sort of quarterback proof. And so I wouldn't, if he's healthy and playing, I wouldn't worry as much about him. It's more the ancillary pieces of Rondale Moore, AJ Green, Christian Kirk that I would, again, be less excited to start. And then from the backfield perspective, I think both James Conner and Chase Edmonds, regardless of what happens, would be good starts this week because they've both been playing really well. And Chase Edmonds finally scored his first touchdown last week. So hopefully that continues to roll this week.
Yeah, we have seen the backup QBs, obviously Mike White being the one that we talked about heading into yesterday's game. Fortunately, ended up getting hurt, but the running backs can benefit. And Chase Edmonds being a low A-dot guy, potentially is running over 22 routes per game. Maybe he does get a little bit of an uptick if you see Colt McCoy out there. Something to keep in mind here. Probably more of a concern for the afternoon slates, I would think, for DFS, but we'll see how that goes. Christian McCaffrey will reportedly be limited to 40 to 50 snaps if he plays versus New England. Sam Darnold limited in practice coming out of the concussion protocol. He's questionable. And Pete, Christian McCaffrey in this spot against New England, a tough defense, or not as tough as they've been historically, but still definitely gamers, especially in the red zone this year. Are you willing to play Christian McCaffrey on a limited snap count, knowing that he really is an important part of this offense, especially if we had PJ Walker somehow at QB? You got to imagine they would rely a lot more on McCaffrey and some of those checkdowns.
Yeah, and we did just get the report about 25 minutes ago that Darnold's officially doubtful for this week. So it does look like we are going to get PJ Walker. And then the latest from the team is just saying they're hopeful CMC goes. I actually think he's on the wrong side of questionable. I kind of doubt he plays. If he does play, we've seen this spot for McCaffrey a few times coming back from injury where once they do suit him up, like he's good to go. They're giving him the full workload. So I will be very interested in playing him if he suits up, but the vibe I'm getting is he's not going to play.
Also, Greg R pointing out, and we've moved past this topic, but apparently Trevor Siemian's nickname, according to Pro Football Reference, is T-Money Sizzle. So that's, Sam, does that change anything for your Trevor Siemian thoughts?
It does not. I did see that the other day, and if you want a good time, just like head over to Pro Football Reference and click around on players and see what the nicknames are, because some of them are just out of this world crazy and like you've never heard them before.
I used to sponsor the Dante Moncrief page on Pro Football Reference. I'm curious how many years I signed up for that. I think it might be gone now.
I did send a request to Pro Football Reference, I think last offseason, to get the mentor added to Darrell Williams' page, but they denied me, unfortunately, despite me sending them a tweet from Evan Silva saying, referring to him as the mentor.
You got to love how we spend our time, sending
yeah.
nickname requests to Pro Football Reference.
That's just classic P Money sizzle is what I'm going to call you now. your hot new nickname in the streets. Saquon Barkley will be out for their battle versus Las Vegas. And the question I have for both of you guys, I'll start with you, Pete. Devontae Booker, does he get meaningfully boosted enough for you? I feel like the price tag has come up. He's an interesting tournament play. We have seen him spike that upside, but I just feel like at this point, I feel like a lot of the interest I would have in him has kind of been priced out.
Yeah, I think he's a fine play. I mean, we've been seeing him get, 5 to 6 targets a game, and he's been catching those balls. It's just like he has no explosive playmaking ability. They don't seem to get a ton of red zone opportunities. So I feel like he's one of those higher floor safe plays without a ton of ceiling. You probably need him to fall into the end zone twice to really pay off.
Sam, how about you? Do you have any sort of love in your heart for Devontae Booker and revenge game, as some people on social media have pointed out, against Vegas?
Oh, I didn't even remember the revenge game.
An illustrious stint for him as a Raider.
I had like 4 paragraphs written about Devontae Booker, and now that's all completely out the window because of the revenge game narrative. But no, I think I agree with Pete. He's not Saquon Barkley. He's getting the work, he's getting the volume, but to pay off in DFS, he's going to need a much higher ceiling than what he's produced. The Giants have not had a ton of plays per game the past 5 weeks, so I don't think that's going to boost this week either. So someone I wouldn't be scratching the surface of getting into my DFS lineups.
Yeah, I think if you get him 5%, that's more than enough to me, but it's definitely not a priority play. There should be a game maybe that has some scoring going on, given the Raiders not a great team according to DVOA, and the Giants, same thing for them. Julio Jones, our boy Joshua is in chat. Thankfully, we got some Julio Jones. Says he sat out last week for precautionary reasons. He'll be back versus the Rams on Sunday Night Football, and obviously we'll talk about ride or die picks for that game. But Pete, Julio being back in, does that matter too much to you?
No, not a ton. It wasn't that game's not on the main slate, so I haven't really even given it any consideration, if we're just being fully transparent and honest with our analysis.
That's what we look for here. Your transparency and honesty, Pete, in these tough times, in this economy. That's what we need.
I mean, I'm pretty good at bullshitting, and even there I was about to try to like bullshit off a take, and I was like, I got nothing.
Sam, how about you? You're missing obviously the bell cow running back in Derrick Henry. Is there a world where Julio Jones, AJ Brown, though AJ Brown I think was not practicing the most recent reports as well, I don't think he should be okay, but anyway, these guys are out there. Does that sort of give a bump up, especially on the data level where you are missing a running back who's getting an incredible amount of touches, an incredible amount of passes this year too, and now maybe does it make Julio somebody you'd want to play against the Rams?
I don't think so. I think from a season-long perspective, if you have Julio, at this point you have found a suitable replacement for him, or maybe you haven't and you've lost 4 straight or whatever. But I don't think this is something where in the past, yes, I'd be locking Julio into my lineups, but he has struggled at times this year. I don't think Derrick Henry being out really impacts Julio Jones' performance all that much.
It's a reasonable take. And also people in the chat, Andrew saying, Pete hates island games so much. Pete, I thought you were an island boy.
Yeah. What are you talking about? I'm an island boy.
That seemed like some slander in the chat from Andrew Mackins.
I can't wait to watch Julio because I'm an island boy.
Sammy Watkins and Rashad Bateman both trending towards playing against Minnesota. And Sam, we've seen Rashad Bateman have a little bit more of a share with Watkins coincidentally being out. Both guys coming in. Again, as a data man, you got to see some of the winds blowing there. Probably not great for the overall passing attack if you are going to rely heavily on any of these guys.
It will be interesting to see how Rashad Bateman plays with Watkins in the lineup, because that's not something we've had a chance to see here. I hope that talent sort of prevails and rises to the top and Bateman gets more opportunities here. But I expect both of them to get their fair share of work. I'm trying to remember who that they played. They played the Vikings. So I think they'll be able to have some success running the ball, obviously, as they do most weeks, but neither of them really more than a flex play.
Pete, how about you? You've been beating that Bateman drum, one of your wide receiver young boys. You've been touting left and right this year. So how are you feeling about Bateman in this spot with Sammy Watkins also possibly coming back?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just far less attractive in basically any format. He was going to project pretty well, even in DFS as a cheaper play if Sammy wasn't playing. I even know in a couple of our ship chasing FFPC leagues, we were going to consider starting him in some spots. But yeah, I think we need to take a wait and see approach. I still believe that Bateman could kind of really ascend there and be like a 1A, 1B type with, Marquise Brown by the end of the season, because I think he's that good. But it might take a couple more weeks for him to fully separate here.
And then we talked about this one a little bit yesterday, but Sam, curious on your thoughts here. Tyrod Taylor is going to be starting at Miami. Do you have any faith in him here? Because the limited sample size we have them for the year in Houston is actually not that bad. And he's projecting decently for me as a result. I don't know how much I trust that, but in a week where people maybe go to some other value plays, are you willing to go to Tyrod Taylor?
I am. I think he played well in the limited time that he had earlier this season. He was running the ball and had a couple games with 40 plus rushing yards, and that's huge for fantasy value, obviously. So I think if you want to stack that game, maybe something with Tyrod and Brandon Cooks, because he's obviously getting hyper targeted in those games as well. So I'm certainly excited about Tyrod returning to the Texans. It can't be much worse than what Davis Mills has done the past several weeks.
Pete, how about you? Tyrod looking like he's projected for about 5% ownership according to Osmo. Are you willing to go Tyrod Taylor's way with him? Maybe an interesting GPP dart throw.
I am interested in Taylor, and I think he even kind of looks better to me than Jordan Love, who's even cheaper than him, but he projects really well. I like that game as well. Now that Parker is doubtful, I think the kind of plays are obvious, maybe too obvious, you could say, for tournaments. But I think Tyrod is very much in play if you want to do even kind of like a naked thing with him and get access to some of these more higher price guys. And the other reason I like it too, and I was talking about this with Hodge, is the two most popular quarterback plays right now look like the two most expensive high-end guys in Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. So I always like that idea of flipping the build too, if you want to go lower. And I think Tyrod has enough upside to justify it there.
Interesting little game theory options there. So there's injuries that actually matter. And Pete, are we ready to do data visualization Pictionary, or do we feel like that might be
why don't we just do one and see how it goes? Because I do want to give this a shot. I didn't prep Sam on this segment because we were going to spring it on him. And I guess I don't know exactly how we're going to do it, but we should try it.
Okay, let's try it. So where are we going to get the link?
All right, I just posted the link in the private chat here.
Okay, so I'm going to have to do it on this PC. Okay. So basically what our goal with this one was to do, and admittedly, Pete was very enthusiastic about it. I was very enthusiastic about it. We didn't really have a great plan on how to attack it. We wanted to do data visualization Pictionary, and we've got this link here now where you can see, I'll just an example, I'm going to draw my name. Hey, Chris, that's me drawing right now. You can see it on the screen there. Wow, what beautiful handwriting I have on this one. But Pete, what immediately to Petus's immediately.
It's a vegetable, Chris. Just get your mind out of the gutter.
What kind of vegetable would that be? A mutated cucumber, a Monsanto thrown out?
No, it's an eggplant and two cantaloupes down at its base.
Okay. Thank you for that, Pete. But
yeah,
how do you want to manage this one?
I don't know. I thought we were going to do Pictionary where one of us, either a name of a player or some kind of situation, and they have to draw it and we have to guess.
Okay. That seems reasonable. So first, I guess, do you want to do the first one, Pete? I don't even know how to erase now. It's not working.
I just did if you do the undo button on the left toolbar, you can make yours go away.
Oh, okay.
Keep going. Keep clicking.
There. Oh, there we go. Goodbye, C. Goodbye, H. No, not goodbye, H. There we go. All right. Pete, you can go first here as I very slowly make my way over to clicking these things. There we go. All right. Now we're clicking.
Okay. How about this? We need so I honestly get anxiety when I think about trying to draw. I had a few of these prompts on the randomizer this summer, and I had to draw a helicopter on the show with Ian Hartitz, and I'm so awful at drawing that I'm scared. So if you guys want a good time, maybe we can make me try to draw something. Should I get a suggestion from the chat? How about this? You guys don't look at the chat.
Okay.
I am going to get a suggestion of something to draw, and you guys have to guess what I'm trying to do.
Okay, that seems fair. So no cheating, Sam. I know.
No,
we
I
brought you on the
closed the chat
show.
out.
You've got a torrid history of cheating. We all know that.
Can you get rid of your last little bit here, Spags? It's tilting
I don't
me.
know. It's not going away. I'm trying to click it. It's not doing it for me. I'll keep trying. There we go. There we go. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We're ready to go. All right. So put your prompts in chat now. Pete, do you see any that will work for you here with your artistic ability?
I mean, I'm going to show this one because I'm not going to do it. But I mean, like, we're not just doing anything. Like, this isn't, it was supposed to be football related.
What about a football T-Rex?
Okay. These suggestions are just completely out of pocket. This is what we get for not planning this segment. Can I get some kind of football, maybe an advanced stat? Maybe I have to try to draw an advanced stat that these guys can guess without actually spelling it.
That would be helpful. Or Pete, you can just come up with your own too. I think that is part of the equation here.
Okay, you're right.
We don't have to go full whose line is it anyway and take audience requests.
But I wanted to let the chat know which one I was doing. So
that's a good point.
This is what I'm going to write. I will write in the chat what I am going to try to do.
That's smart. We're figuring this out. If we're going to make this a bit, again, on the air show prep, that's what we always try to do here on Splash Play. We're figuring it out. Team effort.
Okay. So this, I'm just typing in the chat what I'm going to try to convey. And I'm going to see if you guys are able to do this. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take advantage of some of these built-in things here.
Smart.
Look at
It's a square.
Okay.
Can't draw your own square. Back in my day, we used to hand build a square. Okay. X's. Seems like he's doing a play of some sort, if I had to guess.
Maybe some sort of formation. Formation.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a play.
Shit. Is it a play?
X's and O's, not Jims and Joe's. Is that what we're doing? Okay. So yeah, that's a play.
Okay. Well, I don't necessarily want it to be a play. Okay.
This is a tough game, man.
I don't know what else it is. That's not a play.
What if you guys think of like?
Oh, is it someone's like route chart or like their targeted charts or something?
You're very warm. You're very warm.
Passing charts.
Yeah, like the next gen stats.
Yes.
Thing.
Ding. Next gen stats.
All right, there we go. I was good about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I think I have one too that I'll do. I'll drop in chat. So note, so you guys don't cheat. Don't look in chat.
What is this? Green Pete and his blotchy chest there? I mean, all right. So I'm Xing off a chat now. I'm not looking at chat. Do you want? Hang on. Let me. So this is the eraser button, Spags. I found the eraser here.
Okay.
All right. So you're next.
All right. So I'm drawing it in. Okay. All right.
Are you getting a suggestion from the chat?
Yep. It's in there. All right. So I'm going to draw.
Can you give us the like general framework? Is this stats? Is this what?
This is going to be a type of statistical presentation.
Okay.
Pie chart.
Oh, wait. Oh, what the fuck? Sorry, hold on. I got away from me a little bit there. All right. And then do we have colors? I would like colors.
A Venn diagram?
It is a Venn diagram, yes.
Is it like a heat map?
Hold on. I'm using different colors. Oh, I can't do white. That's going to be confusing.
Well, there's literally white is.
Yeah, no, I know. I get it. Okay.
Sam, what fantasy football stat stuff use a Venn diagram?
I have no idea.
More of a meme format, I suppose, if we're going to do it. If we're going to be technical.
A meme format here.
Mm-hmm.
So is the right part of it white then? So it's red, green, and white?
Yes, one of the circles is red, green, and white.
Is this something Italian related?
It might be, Pete. It might be.
What? So it's an Italian meme format that has to do with fucking fantasy football? What is going on?
It is in fact. You're not going to get it. So I went to esoteric.
So pissed when you say what it is.
It's a Venn diagram of Italian American and backup QBs that Spags loves.
Jesus Christ! What are you doing, Spags?
Francis thought it was an Italian beach ball. So again, we got the Italian part. I feel like we were mostly there.
Sam, you made a Venn diagram and then colored it Italian.
I thought it had to do with fantasy football stats.
I thought it was more of a splash. It was just in my head since we talked about it yesterday. I don't know, man. It came out.
Sam, you have the choice. I don't want to put you on the.
I've got an idea. I'm going to draw a player.
Okay, awesome.
So I'm gonna put him in the chat.
Okay. Oh, I gotta close the chat.
All right, I closed out of the chat.
Okay, I'm not looking. Yep. Okay.
All right. Now
watch Sam just be able to be the fucking Picasso of sketch together. Right
it's gonna be like the most beautiful visualization. We'll be like, what the fuck?
No, it's definitely not.
Sam's just pasted something in from one of his actual data programs.
It's gonna be Aaron Rodgers refusing the vaccine. Tape measure, ruler, map rule.
Field. That's a football field.
Why? What makes you think it's a football field?
I think the hash marks are really what's key.
Looks like a ruler to me. Football field, cowboy hat.
Rule field
hat.
Yates. Field Yates. I was thinking Field Yates.
Justin Fields.
Justin, yeah, could be Justin Fields.
What is on the right? Okay, it's a hat. Is it an eggplant with 2 cantaloupes?
Oh, it's my favorite player, Ruler Sombrero.
So what is this? What's the little squiggly?
Sorry, this was supposed to be an arrow.
Okay, that's an arrow. Okay. That's helpful.
Hat arrow, bell arrow.
Oh, bell curve.
Bell curve.
Bell curve field, bell curve.
Wait, Le'Veon Bell?
Yes.
Oh.
I was trying to go with like level, like lead.
Oh,
bell.
Okay.
And the only thing I could think to draw as a level was a ruler.
Seems like I'm 2 for 2 here, dominating the Pictionary game.
I do just want to say Sam, because he does stat chasing on my StreamYard account for ship chasing, is logged in on my account, and this wasn't me colluding and suggesting.
I thought I saw that, and I thought that you put the name of the player that I was going to do and just like read my mind and put it in there at the same time. And I was very confused.
I think we figured out a bit. I think we could revisit that one. That wasn't bad. Good effort by us. Thank you for doing that, Sam. And I feel like, I got it right. And that's really what matters.
It could have gone a lot worse. I'm very impressed that we pulled that off.
All right, we got to make better time here on the Ride or Die picks. Of course, our cherished segment here, we're going to negotiate for everything. But if you're watching live or after the fact, please hit that like button. And of course, make sure to go to Apple Podcasts, give Splash Play 5 stars and a review, because it does help us out a bunch. Helps us get subscribed by more people on there. Helps us get really getting on the top charts is the goal. If we could do that before the end of the year, even top 200, if I could beat, I don't know, whatever NBC Sports Edge is like 5th ranked basketball podcast, I think we'll be doing okay. So that's the goal. Give us 5 stars and a review. Pete, please tell Sam what he can look forward to here in our new and improved version of Ride or Dies for this season.
I just want to say, Spag, that I know we don't have time to waste, but you have mastered this thing where you do a plug and then you immediately undercut it. You did it with Awesome earlier. Like, Josh over there is doing great work, but I don't want to say too much nice stuff because they don't pay me anymore. And then we go into bashing NBC Sports Edge.
No, we're not bashing. It's more that like their 5th best NBA podcast is like going to be in the top 200 and we cancan't crack it. That was more self-effacing, to be clear.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the things we do the best around here.
NBC Sports Edge knows I love them. I told Ed, I sent him a link to that video that we did with Daigle, and I was like, check this out, Ed Williams. So yeah, they know we love them. They're good-natured ribbing.
Okay, all right, we're off to the races. Yes. We are going to we're going to be very efficient with our negotiating this week.
Okay. We'll do the best we can. So let's start it out here. And of course, we do have 1, 3, 10 pointers, nothing in between, Sam. So keep that in mind. First game on the board, Houston, 20.3 implied points. Miami, 25.8 implied points. Books have it as a 6-point line. Edge Sports, EDJ Sports, we run 100,000 simulations, also a 6-point line. And Pete set the bar accordingly for Sam here and take the first Ride or Die pick.
Yeah, well, we talked about Tyrod Taylor, right? I'm going to come out hot, say Tyrod Taylor in the winning Millie Maker lineup.
Okay, it's an interesting one. So, Sam, there you go. That would be a normal 10-pointer. If you pick a guy that goes into the Millie Maker winning lineup, it's a pretty low probability one. So, what do you want in this game?
Now, to my understanding, like this can be anything football
Yes.
related, right?
Anything.
So I came up with Houston scoring 35 points.
That's a 10-pointer,
Is that a
right?
10-pointer?
So specific, yeah.
What's their implied team
All
total?
right, at
Like
least
14?
35 points,
or
not
something?
exactly 35,
20.3?
but they haven't scored 35 points since week 1 and have scored like single-digit points.
And who was their quarterback week 1 when they did that, Sam?
Next game.
Ty God. All right. For me, I got to take mine. I will take, and this may be a surprise to some people, I'll take Tua Tagovailoa in the Millionaire Maker winning lineup.
All right. I'm glad to see you're coming around on Tua.
I have bashed him a lot. I think it's more the matchup and Houston being that bad, according to DVOA, giving up just a 5% boost overall to the opposing teams, but a 5.5% passing DVOA boost. And maybe that's just what Tua needs to be less mediocre. Cleveland, 22.3 implied points. Cincinnati, 24.8 implied points. Battle of Ohio. Sam, you know the rules now. What do you want for your ride or die pick in this game?
Okay, so mine is Jamar Chase posts more yards in this game than Odell Beckham Jr. has had all season, which is 232. So he has at least 232 yards in this game.
God, you're so good at this. Not only are these aggressive, but they're fun. They're dynamic.
I went for like all 10 tier. I didn't
love
want to skirt the middle.
That's definitely a 10-pointer over 232 yards.
Yes, I think any player you could pick that for, and that would be a 10-pointer. Pete, I will let you go before me. What do you want?
Yes, as Spags would say, I'm going to leverage against Sam's pick here. How many points do I get for if Tyler Boyd is the leading receiver on the Bengals? So outscores Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
With variance, that feels like a 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know he hasn't played great this year.
Then give me the outscores them. How about outscores them by 2.5? Whoever scores more, Boyd scores. Whoever scores more between Higgins and Chase, Boyd scores 2.5.
I'd say 5.
5?
Yeah, I was going to say 4.5 or 5.
Okay, 4.5. I'll take it. Thank you.
Okay, 4.5 seems nice. All right, for me, I will say, I wish I just didn't do the 2-1. Baker Mayfield in the Millionaire Maker winning lineup seems like a choice, but I won't make it here. I'll say Baker Mayfield throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in his swan song here for Odell Beckham. Pete, does that seem like a 10-pointer to you?
300 plus yards and 3
passing
TDs or more. Yes, I will say that's a 10-pointer.
Okay, fantastic.
I mean, that would probably put him in the winning Millie Maker lineup.
It would, but I can't. Yeah, I'm just basically doing 2 versions of the same thing. But I feel like Baker is spiteful enough. As I talked about yesterday, people don't follow me on Twitter. I'll fucking come and get them. Baker Mayfield's gonna.
Yes, Sam. I don't know if you saw our big Twitter controversy yesterday. Did you happen to follow Spags before the show started?
Yes, Sam's good.
did, but I missed this thing.
Oh, Spags was like calling out all of his enemies who don't follow him on Twitter, and then Smiz was in the chat was like, "You don't follow me."
And it was completely accidental, Sam, and it was very embarrassing for me to be wrong in that venue. But Sam not only follows me and Pete, he also follows the Splash Play handle. So Sam is like a level above. Sam is like on a pedestal to me. I'm putting that Hoppen on a pedestal. That's what I.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going.
Vegas 24.8 implied points. Giants 21.8 implied points. 3-point line according to the books. A 1-point line according to Edge Sports is 100,000 simulations. So also interesting to note over under that they have there is 51 compared to 46.5 in the books. So maybe some juice taking the over. And I am due to go first in this one. And I will say, oh man, I'm not buying the Zay Jones hype. Hunter Renfrow. If Hunter Renfrow outscores all the pass catchers for Vegas, including Waller, what is that?
Oh, that's combined or
each individually?
Yeah, I mean, that's a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
I mean, Renfro's projecting for like 14 points. Waller's like 17 points. That's a classic 3-pointer.
What if it's 4.5 points more than every receiver?
6.5.
5.5?
6.
All right, 6 points more than every receiver for 10 points.
Including, when you say receiver, we're including Waller in this.
Yes, every pass catcher. Every pass catcher. Pete, what do you want?
I am going to say for 10 points, Kadarius Toney, the highest scorer in the game, including the quarterbacks.
Okay, that's 10 points.
Yeah, that's 10. That's 10. A reasonable 10, but still definitely a 10. Sam, what do you want?
I struggled to come up with one for this, so I'm just going to follow your guys' lead and say Derek Carr is in the winning Million Maker lineup.
There you go.
I like
at
it.
5,900, definitely in the cheap quarterback conversation.
Yeah, and that'd be a 1-pointer if Odell Beckham were on the team, because it'd be such a sure thing that nobody could avoid. That's what we all know about the Raiders. Next game up, we got Minnesota, 22 implied points. Baltimore, 28 implied points. A game with a good amount of ownership, it looks like, as Pete mentioned, to one Lamar Jackson. So keep that in mind, Sam, as you're making your picks. But what do you want in this game, Minnesota and the Ravens?
So this might be a 3-pointer, but I was going to say Lamar Jackson outrushes the Vikings as a team.
What? No, I think that's a 10-pointer.
Is it? All right.
You're saying so that includes every rushing yard from Cook, Madison, Cousins,
the whole team.
That's a 10-pointer to me.
That's hard to do as a QB, even though it is Lamar. That's a good one. But
I like that one.
Plus EV 10-pointer though. Sam really bringing some heat this week that I think could beat us finally, Pete.
All right, Spags, you go second on this one.
I will say in this one, Adam Thielen, top scoring position player in the game. Is that 10?
No.
Okay, damn it. Adam Thielen, 30 fantasy points.
Yeah, that's 10.
Okay, done.
I will do Justin Jefferson, 30 fantasy points.
Oh, great leverage you got there, Pete. Love it. Love it when you do it that way.
Thank you.
Next game up, we got Denver, 19.5 implied points. People in the chat pointing out Noah Fant's officially out. We think we talked about that yesterday, but he is on the COVID list, so he's not playing. Dallas getting 29.5 implied points on their side. And I think, Pete, we're back to you to go first.
Yes. Let's do 10. Do I get a 10-pointer if Dalton Schultz is the highest scoring non-quarterback for the Cowboys? So I'm saying outscores Zeke, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper.
That's tough because the receivers are questionable going into this game.
I honestly didn't even know that. My bad.
What about in the entire game, Pete? Do you think they could beat the Broncos side?
I mean, I'm trying to, let's not get crazy here.
I'll give you the 10 points.
Thank you, Sam. Next.
Sam, what do you want here? Dallas and Denver.
I'm going to say that Javonte Williams doubles Melvin Gordon's fantasy score.
That's a 10-pointer. Actually, it should be a 3 because it's so likely to happen, but I will give Sam 10 for that.
Would Melvin Gordon, because we all think Melvin Gordon's so bad, if he were to have 100 yards and a touchdown, would that be a 10-pointer, Pete?
100 yards rushing,
100 cumulative yards and a touchdown.
Not 100 scrimmage yards. Yes, but 100 yards rushing and a touchdown.
Okay, fine. But it could be a passing or a rushing.
I will allow any touchdown, but it has to be 100 yards rushing for a 10-pointer.
Okay, fine. I will take that because Melvin Gordon's so bad, right? He could never do that in a million years, huh, fellas? Next game.
You're tilting.
New England, 22.3 implied points. Carolina, 18.8 implied points. As we talked about earlier in the show, Sam Darnold now downgraded to doubtful. Christian McCaffrey might make it in. And I think I'm due to go first in this one. And okay, I gotta go with the brand here. Of course, backup QB is the thing. I've been beating that drum all year long, all last year. PJ Walker, 250 yards. 2 touchdowns. Speed is at 10.
You didn't want to do the Mike White 300 yards, 300 touchdowns.
300 yards rushing is what.
Say it again. Say it again. PJ
250 yards passing, 2 touchdouts.
That's not a 10-pointer.
But he's a backup.
He's literally starting this week. He's not a backup.
How about 275, 2 touchdowns?
No, that's like his 80th percentile outcome. This isn't a 10-pointer.
Hold on. What's the PJ Walker prop line? That's the question I would have. His prop line is 225.5, it looks like.
I will give you a 10-pointer for PJ Walker would be, let's make it fantasy points, over 27.5 DraftKings points.
25.5.
No.
26.5.
Sam's getting in on the negotiation.
26.9.
Thank you. 26.9 sold.
Fine. Done. 10-pointer. Fine. What do you want, Pete?
I will DJ Moore over 30 DraftKings points for 10.
Okay. Good correlation play with my PJ Walker.
So he's going to do it all on end-around handoffs.
Sam, what do you want in this game?
So I wrote mine down before knowing that Darnold was doubtful, and I had that he scores fewer fantasy points than he has in the last 2 games that he's faced New England combined, which would be 4.36 fantasy points. Because
he seems likely to happen now, I think.
But okay, so if he doesn't start, then I'm going to say Robbie Anderson outscores DJ Moore.
Oh my God, I hate you for that.
Is that a 10-pointer or is that still a 3? Because
Yeah.
at some point, okay.
I mean, I would say you say outscores. Yeah, I mean, in the spirit of that is like a 6.5, but I'll give him a 10 for that just because Robbie sucks so much ass.
Okay, that's reasonable. So there we go. Buffalo 31.5 implied. I honestly didn't even realize this was a game this week, but Buffalo 31.5 implied points. Jacksonville 17 implied points. 15-point dogs here at home for Jacksonville. It is an 8-point line according to Edge Sports, so maybe some value taking the Jacksonville cover. And Sam, I feel like we're back to you to go first.
I'll go with Trevor Lawrence out rushing Josh Allen.
Ooh. Okay. That seems like, what is it, Sam? What is it? What's the projections over there? How many rushing yards do you have Trevor Lawrence projected for?
I mean, it is 4.1 rushes per game for Trevor Lawrence, 7.4 for Josh Allen. On that alone, I feel like that's still probably a 10-pointer because we know Josh Allen's a running QB. Trevor Lawrence doesn't get that rep.
All right. It seems sneaky. We'll give it to him. I will do Spags.
Oh, no. Is it top 5 scoring guys for Buffalo Bills?
Nope. I wasn't even going to do that.
It felt like it was coming.
Something. How about this? 10-pointer if Zach Moss outscores every single Jag, including the quarterback.
I think that's a 3-pointer based on the
projections. That's not a
3-pointer. Oh, yeah. That's a 10-pointer.
Thank you, Sam.
Oh, man. Sam is really...
like Zach Moss is good, but he hasn't had one of those huge fantasy days. And to outscore every other person on the opposing team, I think that's...
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that.
I mean, I'm seeing that I would have Zach Moss having a 12.9 fantasy point projection, and then Trevor Lawrence is 14.8, James Robinson 13.3. It's not a big gap for me.
But it's a all one versus the field.
Yeah.
It's not 1v1 Spags.
No, that's fine. How about
your mind?
What about top 5 scoring fantasy players are Buffalo Bills, Pete? Is that a 10-pointer?
No, that's what you tell me I'm not allowed to do anymore.
But I could have it.
So you want to do the exact same one as me?
The one that I wasn't going to give you, yeah. Because you might give it to me. I wasn't going to give it to you.
Show some creativity for once. Fine.
All right, you know what? I'll take Jacksonville money line.
Okay. Nice. That's a 10-pointer.
That's okay. Thank you. Atlanta, 17.8 implied points. New Orleans, 23.8 implied points. The line pretty close according to EDJsports.com as well. Pete, we're back to you to go first.
I don't think this is a 10-pointer, so I'm not even trying to argue. I think it's more of a 5. I'll take the 3. I'll say Kyle Pitts outscores Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, that's
it's a 5, but we don't have 5, so I'm taking the 3.
All right, Sam, what do you want in this one? Atlanta and New Orleans.
Similar, but I'm going to go Kyle Pitts has more receiving yards than all of the non-running back Saints combined. So he has more receiving yards than all of the wide receivers and tight ends on the Saints combined.
So we're talking Callaway, Deontay Harris, Traquan Smith,
Johnson.
Combined, you said?
Combined.
Okay, that's 10.
We're going for 10 points.
Yeah. Yep. If it were individually, you'd have to throw in Kamara, but I think, combined, that seems pretty fair. I will say Trevor Siemian throws for 275 yards and 3 touchdowns. Pete, is that 10?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, cool.
I mean, you had just tried to. We get it. You like backup quarterbacks, so just relax.
Did you see
that is the brand, Pete?
Oh God, yeah. Is he Italian?
Mono Trevor Siemian, the monkey man, throwing bananas and shit all over the place. LA Chargers 25.5 implied points. Philadelphia 24 implied points. I think I'm due to go first. Worth pointing out, the EDJ Sports line, this one's 57 compared to 49.5 on the books, which pretty big gap. So I guess I will say Mike Williams, millionaire maker winning lineup.
All right, I like him. I think he's a good GPP play this week.
Price coming down.
I will say I'll stick on the Millie Maker theme. I'll say Devonta Smith in the winning Millie Maker lineup. I know, Sam, we would like that for our main event team as well.
It would be. I'm going to go with this game the two teams combining for over 80 total points.
You say 80?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a 10-pointer.
All right. Look, I mean,
has that happened at all this year?
I mean, it almost happened last night. We're at 75 last night.
Oh God, you're right. All right, then maybe that's a 3-pointer.
No, I think that is a very safe 10-pointer. Again, 49.5 line, and yeah, a 57-point line according to EDJ Sports. So Sam certainly on the same page here. Some great minds at the company that is helping us put on this show. Arizona, 21.8 implied points. San Francisco, 23.3 implied points. Sam, you can go first in this one.
This is a bank on how I expect the game script to go and how I expect just the game to go. I think Trey Lance outscores Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Garoppolo just gets benched at some point and Lance is in there and then just outscores him.
That's a 10-pointer.
Yeah, it's a 10 because there's a lot of contingencies there. So that's
Hang on, I'm gonna do an impression of Spags for my pick.
Oh no. Where is this going? I don't have headphones.
Colt McCoy, 275 yards and 1 passing TD. Is that a 10-pointer?
I think it would have to be 2.5 Spags. Seed? Okay. I think it's got to be 2 touchdowns, I would say.
All right, I'll steal it just for the bet.
Okay, cool. That's fair. For me, I will take whoever is the Arizona starting QB is outperformed by one of the Niners QBs.
I mean,
that's
a 3, right?
3 pointers.
Three-pointer.
I'll take, I don't look, I'm trying not to take any 3s, but I will take that 1-3 again, solely out of spite after you did that hurtful impression of me. Green Bay, 20.3 implied points. Kansas City, 27.8 implied points. I am due to go first. Jordan Love, more fantasy points in this game than Aaron Rodgers has scored this entire season. Is that 10?
Wait, in a single game or total?
No. Total.
Is,
he's going to put up 475 points. No,
sure. What do you know off the top of your head what his highest scoring game was?
I can look it up on Fantasy Cruncher while you guys do it, but I think it's got to be.
All right.
Yeah.
I assume he's had over a 30-point game this season.
You'd think. To be clear, I'm doing this completely blind. It could be a good bet, could be a bad bet.
I was hoping you would actually look.
26.9. It looks like by my records.
Is his highest on DraftKings scoring?
I don't know if this is DraftKings. Regular.
Yeah, 26.8 in week 2 against Detroit, according to.
All right, I'll give you that. I mean, if he's all right. How many points do I get if by the end of the weekend Aaron Rodgers starts a new podcast with Alex Jones?
That's a 25-pointer.
Let's see here. I will say what will you give me? Okay, if Mecole Hardman outscores Devontae Adams, is that a 10-pointer?
I think so.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
So I don't love it, but it is a 10-pointer. Sam, what do you want?
I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes outscoring all of the Green Bay positional starters. So that would be Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard, and Mercedes Lewis. ...
Combined.
Oh,
hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's a, you know what, Spags?
I don't know what I win if I win this, but
Spags,
I'm just going.
I'm going to give him a 20-pointer for that one.
I'm going for a record here.
Okay.
No, I think it's a ballsy play, Sam, and I think we're going to reward you and all of our love and adoration this one. If you somehow nail these picks. Last game, Sunday Night Football, Tennessee, 22.8 implied points. The Rams, 30.3 implied points. Line of this one is 8. Yeah, there's not a big discrepancy here according to EDJ Sports 100,000 simulations either. Sam, usually we just take a showdown captain for the Sunday Night Football, the island games as they were. So if you want to do it that way, you can.
Oh, yeah. Mine was going to be Adrian Peterson is just in the optimal showdown lineup, not necessarily the captain, but that
Do you want to take off one of the 6 condoms before you make that pick?
Let's go with who's good? Van Jefferson.
Ooh, I always overproject Van Jefferson. I like it.
Spags, are we going to have a gentleman's bet not to pick AJ Brown?
Sure. That wasn't even who I was thinking for it.
Okay, the gentleman's bet off. I'll take AJ Brown in the winning captain lineup.
Okay, I will take Matthew Stafford as the showdown captain, the man who's just slinging it all over town and correlates well, leverages off of Van Jefferson.
I meant what it should have been. Cooper Kupp was the gentleman's.
Yes. I thought this was like a points thing too. Like I mean, I'll take Cooper Cup.
No, gentleman's agreement.
You chose Van Jefferson.
You chose Van Jefferson.
Tannehill.
I mean, for lineup construction, though, like Van Jefferson might be the best play because like he's going to allow you to cram in AJ Brown and Stafford and Henderson and whatever. So
say who again? You wanted?
I'll take Tannehill.
No take backs.
On that note, Sam, you of course are doing great work as the newly minted. People are calling you the Data Daddy. Is that a bit you're doing over at Stat Chasing?
That came up once in the comments several weeks ago.
Okay, so the Data Daddy Sam Hoppen is over at 4for4 Football now and Betsperts. So tell everybody what they can expect from your work, what you're doing, and of course, they should be following you on Twitter at Sam Hoppen.
Yeah, head to 4for4.com. We got a lot of great betting content out there. Going to be rolling out some NBA stuff here soon, which will be fun. And then, yeah, I put a lot of charts and visualizations out. My weekly Hoppen to Conclusions article out on Thursday mornings as well. Be sure to check all of that out.
There you go. Make sure to follow at Sam Hoppen and check out all the work. Really, I'm doing a lot of great work, Sam. I'll say it to you in addition to the people out there, but definitely ahead of the curve here and doing some fun content as well. Stat Chasing Show is really helpful, I think, for the ship chasing universe that Pete is unbiasedly a part of as well. Pete, what are your plugs?
My plugs are I am going to drink some beers tonight. Maybe I might go to some,
like a bitch.
I'm gonna go. Shut up. I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow morning. I might go to an open house. That's all I have right now. Spags. Actually, no. The one plug. Let's fill the Deposit Kingdom rake free tournament on DraftKings. Was scrolling through the entries, couldn't help but notice one Mr. Chris Spags trying to clout chase his way to the top of that leaderboard.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's not me supporting my friend as he tries to fill a tournament. Yeah, I'll fucking save my $10. I'll put it in one of those single entries instead.
It is a single entry tournament, you asshole.
A higher GPP round. I will be there competing with a hand-built lineup, as that's my pledge to all of you out there. Make sure to follow at Sam Hoppen, follow at Peter Overzet, follow at Chris Spags. We'll be back Sunday night, so follow at Splash Play Pod to check out the link when that drops. We appreciate all you guys for hanging out, and we'll see you guys again soon. Bye.